Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Barber, Drew Shipley here, and the title says it best. The Iowa women are hot, specifically the women's basketball team, winners of 5 in a row. Nice little winning streak that they're going on. Drew, what do you think the biggest reason is for this winning streak in your mind?
Lucy Olson's turned up the heat. I mean, she's just became an elite scorer that we thought she was coming from Villanova. I mean, she was the third leading scorer in the country behind Juju Watkins and Caitlin Clark last year. So, I mean, we did expect a large amount of scoring from Lucy Olson coming into the program. And, instead of these 17 to 19 point outings, now we're eclipsing 30. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Stolke's looking more comfortable too. Mm-hmm. Addie O'Grady is just drilling those elbow shots, free throw line extended, like just whatever. Those are he used to be drill shots, like practice shots. You'd inbound from the baseline right to that spot, and you'd hit it. You'd shoot it. That's what you do in pregame. All those shots that she's taken, just wide open, leaving her wide open on the in that spot, and she's just drilling them at a really high rate as well. They're playing really good defense too. It seems like the turnover margin has been cut down drastically the last 5 games. I don't know if that is a fact. I guess I'd have to go back to the box scores, but it seems like it watching in real time. If you have the eye test per se, but I venture to guess that none of those 5 wins have more than 15 turnovers. When the ones that we really harped on them on had 25 up to 30 turnovers and big losses. So,
right. You touched on a lot of different things there.
I know you said just one, but I said 3.
There's so many different reasons. So I'm glad you kept going because there's so many different reasons. I was just kind of looking up the turnover thing. They had 18 turnovers. Oh, wait, no. USC had 18 turnovers. We had 15 turnovers exactly against USC, but still won that game. I think other than that, yeah, you're right. It's under 15. It's 15 or less in every single game. So I think I'm going to point to that as probably one of the biggest reasons. But like you said, the improved play of Lucy Olson on offense, huge improvement there. I think more so just like the mental side of things. Minnesota game, for example, they kind of had a big lead early. It kind of slipped. They regained it and regained control of the game and ultimately won the game in the fourth quarter. But like against Oregon, for example, they lost that kind of a game.
Yep.
Where they kind of had a big lead and then lost it on the road. So it was nice to see them kind of be in the same position, learn from it, and play really well. Sydney Fulter is starting to really sizzle, I would say, as well. She's shooting well from three. She's rebounding the ball well. And I think there's just a lot of good lineup adjustments, too, from Jan Jensen. Still at the 5. It just continues to work real well. So
Weird.
Yeah, I'm glad that it works as well as it does. I really liked Ava Hayden getting involved against Nebraska. That was a nice thing to see. If we can get anything out of her to have 3 quality 5s would be awesome.
Yeah.
For the rest of the season, if you have 3 dependable centers, Stolke, O'Grady, and Hayden, I think that's going to even boost this team to a different level.
Well, and you're going to need them too coming down to the Big Ten tournament, right? Because the teams that are at the top of the heap of the Big Ten have big girl play. You know what I mean? Like they can dominate inside at will.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to need 3 because at times of trouble earlier in the season when Hannah Stolke would be in foul trouble, Addie O'Grady really didn't fill that void very well in the early season. Ava Hayden was kind of absent as well, I guess. Like not, I understand she's a freshman, but I mean, we kind of expected to fill in a little bit better than she has in the beginning of the season. So it kind of seemed like if Hannah Stolke ever got in foul trouble, then I mean, at will scoring down low was fairly easy. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head as well. As there's been a lot of growth and learning from past mistakes as a team collectively as well. I mean, they run a lot. They want to run a lot of zone defense, probably to try to keep Hannah Stolke out of foul trouble, like specifically individually. Is probably a better play, right? They can rotate around, force them to make shots further from the basket, which it turns into more rebounds and turns into fast breaks, which we would prefer to play like.
Yeah, they're switching up their defenses a little bit. I like that because it was a big part of the run to the national championship, Caitlin Clark's junior year. Specifically that South Carolina game in the Final Four. They played a triangle and 2 defense most of the game. Or like and it was like a very strange, like where they were leaving certain players just completely wide open, intentionally daring them to shoot because they knew they just weren't capable shooters. So I like that Jan Jensen's willing to switch it up defensively. This team's also way better defensively than any of the Caitlin Clark years. I heard a stat on KXNO that they are in the top 30 in defensive efficiency.
Wow.
Whereas the height of the Caitlin Clark era was like the 60s. So this team is really finding their groove offensively as well as defensively. They're not like the elite offense that we're used to in the Caitlin Clark era, but they're really if they're finding their groove offensively, the defense is there. ESPN bracketology had them as a kind of a 9 seed, I think. I think that's a little low. I think they're playing way better than that. I don't know. Just looking down at it, kind of, what have you seen? Have you seen anything different other than the 9 seed projection?
No, I mean,
I really haven't.
I mean, between CBS and ESPN, I mean, they've been both bouncing around between 8s and 9s, and I guess I don't understand that. They're 17-7. I mean, we're watching number 17 Maryland here right now. I mean, they're 19-5. I mean, they're 2 games back, and you're telling me their difference between a 4 or 5 seed and a 9 seed is 2 games? I don't think so. I mean, we'll have a chance to prove it this weekend as they travel to Maryland, I believe. And that's not probably going to turn out well. Am I right, or is the men go to Maryland? I'm sorry. I got them mixed up.
The men who go to Maryland. The men go to Maryland. That's their next game. Some places even have Iowa as a 10 seed. I think that's
ridiculous.
I think if they were placed anywhere in that 8 to 10 range, I think there'd be a lot of 1s and 2 seeds that'd be like, oh, we don't feel good about this. They'd be a tough around matchup for anyone, I think.
Just let USC get a 1 seed still and see what happens again.
Yeah, Iowa is playing like a Sweet 16 team. I'm not saying, oh, they're for sure going to make it, but they're playing like they're one of the best 16 teams in the country. For sure. They're closer to where we thought they were
going to be.
Yeah, when they got to like their high watermark of the rankings, I can't remember where exactly we got to, like 20th, maybe? Yeah, 21st, I think was the height of Iowa in the rankings.
Yeah.
They're playing right around there, maybe a little bit better. It's so matchup dependent, but
17-7 is a really good season. Like, I don't even see how like they're even like on the fringe of being selected, honestly. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, if you're on the 9 seed line, you're less on the fringe. You're not even in the last 4 bye territory there, so you're feeling good, which is more than we could say about 3 weeks ago, right?
That's true.
So, game tonight at 6:30. They're playing Rutgers, who's 10-14. This is a classic don't let down spot. I'm not going to pick Iowa to lose. I'm going to pick Iowa to win. I don't know about their 21.5 point favorite I'm seeing. I don't know about winning by 21.5. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about Rutgers. No disrespect to Rutgers women's basketball. I don't know enough about you to confidently say what I was going to do, but I think we're going to win. So that would be 6 in a row. Coming off of a 5-game losing streak to win 6 in a row is incredible.
I mean, to be honest, yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. Like, I don't know anything of Rutgers women's basketball outside of C. Vivian Stringer era Rutgers basketball. And that's
right.
That's before the Big Ten merger. So I'm not going to pretend and sit here and say, yeah, I know so much about Rutgers women's basketball. No, I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they're very good.
No, they're not.
Specifically on paper, it does not look great. I mean, 21.5 is a lot of points, period.
Yeah.
In a conference game. So, I'm not going to predict them to Iowa to lose either, but you're probably looking somewhere in the teens, maybe 14 to 16 point comfortable, never in doubt type of game,
Yeah, that feels good. And they're in front of the home crowd. So, that makes me feel better about what is maybe a classic letdown spot in college basketball.
Yep.
That it's at home. The big one, which I did not realize was an 11 a.m. President's Day game.
Cool.
I did not realize that until this week that this is an 11 a.m. tip-off on Monday. So if you don't have President's Day off, I guess you're out of luck when it comes to watching this game.
I work for the government. I have it off.
Yeah, I know. I have it off too. I'm lucky enough to work at a place where we have it off, so I'll be able to watch some of this game as well. But that's the big one at Ohio State, who is the number 9 team in the country right now as of this. So barring anything unforeseen, they're 20-3. And I think we all know kind of what happened last year where Iowa lost at Ohio State. And then we had the whole post-game Caitlin Clark thing with the fan running into her and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So different team, different Iowa team going in there, different Ohio State team, though, that we're playing, but Cody McMahon's still there. And that will be a nice little test, I think, for the Iowa women.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are they on the road?
Yeah, it's at Ohio State at 11 a.m. on a Monday. Kind of a weird time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go back to the word opportunity. We've used that a lot, right? In recent weeks of kind of looking for glass half full mentality of when the men's and women's teams were both kind of down and out on significant losing streaks, and
Right.
now we're coming on the other side of it. Opportunity at top 10 to get another quad one win. Moved to potentially 19-7, barring a catastrophe tonight against Rutgers.
Right.
I think that changes that tournament outlook pretty big too. I believe the Iowa women are sitting as the 10 seed in the Big Ten women's standings as it stands now, but I believe they are only 2 games out from the double bye 4 seed, with a whole bunch of teams tied up at 9-4. Iowa sitting there at 7-6 in conference play, moved to 8-6 tonight. I mean, realistically, you could go back up to 5 or 6 if you put together a good, win 3 out of the last 4 here. Realistically, let's see what happens. What can we run down the schedule? What do we have left before we hit the Big Ten tournament? I mean, we're talking 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, we're talking 5 games left in the regular season here. So Rutgers tonight, at Ohio State on Monday, then turn around on Sunday and play UCLA, number 1 UCLA at home. On the road at Michigan, who's 18-7 on a Wednesday, the 26th, and then finish up at home against sub 500 Wisconsin on March 2nd. So Rutgers and Wisconsin, you got to take care of business there. And I think they will.
Split between Ohio State and UCLA?
If you could split between Ohio State and UCLA, you would feel great about yourself. I think of, those 3 games we mentioned to end February there, if you got 2, you feel good. I think 1 and 2 is pretty good still, because that means a win over Michigan, which is a decent team, an NCAA tournament team themselves, and above us in the standings. Michigan is 9-5 in the standings, so if we go to 8-6 tonight, that might just be a pretty big game standing wise.
I mean, you go to 20-9 overall. What would that end up being? That would be 10-6 in the Big, or 10-8 in the Big Ten. Yep, 10-8 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, 10-8.
20-win season.
I think you gotta end up like 11-7 to be in that double bye conversation.
No, I think so for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of those teams face each other down the stretch, but
yeah, I haven't looked at the schedule of the teams that are up there either. That's why the game against Ohio State's big too, because they're 9-3. And so you could gain, a game on them, 2 games on them by beating them head to head. Right. But this is kind of where that losing streak kind of rears its head, because all the teams above you are Oregon, Michigan State, Illinois.
Well, the good news is Illinois makes their West Coast trip on the 20th of February at number 1 UCLA, followed by a Sunday matinee at number 6 USC.
So hopefully 2 losses for Illinois there. Does Michigan State make a West Coast trip? Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. They do it first. They do it this Sunday.
Okay, and they go to Ohio State as well.
Yes, they did.
Okay, great. What's Oregon got left? A road trip to Minnesota and Nebraska, which is not easy. Probably favored against Rutgers and maybe Washington on the road. So that's all right. But Illinois and Michigan State have really tough schedules, as does Iowa. Michigan schedule.
Michigan at Maryland. Host
at
Penn
Maryland.
State, at Illinois.
At Illinois. Okay. So again, that Iowa-Michigan game going to be pretty big, I think, in terms of like Big Ten tournament seeding. Yeah, I mean, all the games for Iowa right now, the Iowa women are kind of big in a way. Yeah, you got to take care of business and then let the seeding work itself out. But like you mentioned, if we split against Ohio State or UCLA, win one of those, preferably the UCLA game, actually, beating number one would, and beating UCLA and USC would really vault us up the seed lines in the NCAA tournament.
It would seeding wise for the NCAA tournament, but I think if I put a gun to my head, I think it would be Ohio State for the Big Ten seeding. But
okay,
but then again, like I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of proof of you make a run, a conference tournament run, and you win 4 games in 4 days. Teams come out flat and tired. I mean, especially more so on the men's side, because I believe the women start their tournament a day later. Like I believe they go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as opposed to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and the women's conference tournament is actually they're all done a week before, as well, as opposed to the men's Big Ten is the last conference tournament to end. Like literally they go to Selection Sunday after and they don't give a shit who won or lost that game actually, unless it was a team that was not
going to be in
Cinderella that wasn't going to be on it, and then they had to slide everybody down. But they've proved time and time again. I was talking with some of my friends about the Big Ten tournament run. I believe it was 2021 when they won 4 games in 4 days.
20. Yeah,
and everybody was thinking they might be a 3, and if they weren't a 3, they'd be a 4. But then, in fact, they were selected 5th, and then had that horrendous Richmond loss. When I mean, they should have easily been a 4 seed winning the Big Ten tournament like they did. I believe they were like 27-8 overall. Easily a record and resume that should have warranted a top 4 seed. So
I'm okay with the 5 seed. My problem isn't with the 5 seed. My problem is lining them up against a team in Richmond who also went on a run themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Richmond was not going to be in the NCAA tournament. They won 4 games in 4 days in the A10.
Yeah, that's right.
To get in. So you put 2 teams that are tremendously hot up against one another. That sucks. I mean, if we looked at the other 12 seeds.
I mean, realistically, Richmond should have been in the play-in game in the 12 seed. Like the 12-12 play-in.
Yeah, Richmond should have bumped up to an 11 seed because they usually put like 11 seeds in the play-in spots, not 12 seeds.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
11 seeds. They should have bumped Richmond up a spot and given us someone else. But it's all right. That's neither here nor there. How about the Iowa women just went out? How about they just went out and we just do that?
Listen, I mean, we just ran through the scenarios of all the teams above us, and we could easily count 2 losses each for everybody.
Yeah.
And if Iowa doesn't lose, then I mean, you are talking like, I don't know, tie-break scenarios, I guess, of they might get that 4 seed double bye.
If they won out.
I don't know, though, because I think we've lost. I think we're behind the 8 ball in the tiebreaker with everybody above us for the most part.
We are.
I mean, we lost to Illinois. We lost to Michigan State. Ohio State's to be seen.
Maryland. We lost our 1 game to Maryland.
Yeah. So, I mean.
But let's just play it out here. UCLA and USC would probably.
I mean, those are locks. I mean, that's done.
Top 2. That's top 2 in some order. Doesn't matter what. We would knock Ohio State down 1, but they'd probably be 3rd still. Then it would really depend on what Illinois and Maryland do. I think Illinois, Maryland, and Michigan State do. Michigan State's got it tough. The West Coast trip,
Illinois too.
The Ohio State trip. Illinois has got it tough with the West Coast trip. But say Illinois only lost those 2 games, then they would end up with 6 conference losses, and then they get the 4 seed on us.
Realistically, we're probably talking more like 6, 7, 8 seed. Go 3-2 here. You get the single bye.
Yeah, getting the single bye is better than no bye where we're at right now.
That's true.
So maybe we'll just be feeling lucky that we got the single bye. And if you get either of those games end up 4-1 or 5-0,
it's gravy.
Magic strikes and you end up 5-0, then that's better for your NCAA tournament seeding anyways.
Yep.
And you're probably closer to that 5-6 range for NCAA tournament.
Yep, for sure.
Or we just went out and win the Big Ten tournament and end up being like a 3 seed and hosting in Carver for 2 rounds.
That would be crazy.
That would be the dream scenario, but it's not going to happen. All right. Well, Drew, I think we'll take a little bit of a break and we'll come back and we have good news to talk about with Iowa men's basketball.
All right.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right. Well, thank you to our sponsors. We're back. Iowa men's basketball picking up their first road win in February, middle February. And Drew just doing it in the craziest fashion, too. No Drew Thelwell, no Owen Freeman on the road against Rutgers, who has 2 top 5 NBA draft picks. I was thinking this is a nightmare scenario, and they just kind of found a way. You watched the game. Just kind of what were your thoughts or maybe reactions to this win?
It begs the question to Rutgers is, okay, they have 2 top 5 NBA talent guys on their roster, but yet they're 12-13 overall. They're behind us in the Big Ten standings now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, like, apparently they have a hard time playing as a team. Like, they're playing hero ball maybe a little bit.
Yeah, Yeah, go
I,
ahead.
I mean, I think I want to give credit to the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, going on the road and Piscataway is there are a lot nicer places in the Big Ten than Piscataway, New Jersey. Let me just say that first. But going clear out to Jersey and getting a win in the Big Ten technically was a quad one win as well. I don't know if you knew that, Andrew, but it was the first quad one win as well for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Again, 12-13 Rutgers. I don't know. Like just kind of how they do net rankings and RPI and all that junk, quad wins. Like I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, you have to have a top 30 team at home for a quad one win, but it only has to be top 75 on the road to be considered a quad one win. I don't know about that. Maybe somewhere in the middle, like top 50. But nonetheless, by the people that have come up with this social construct of net rankings and quad one wins, this one happened to be one. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to them, doing it shorthanded again, playing with effort. It's not a team that has given up, it looks like. Sitting at 14-10. Where are we at in the standings? 4-7 in the Big Ten?
We are, goodness. No, we're 5-8.
5-8, excuse me. Okay.
5-8 in the Big Ten. We're just below Oregon and Indiana at 6-8, Nebraska at 6-7. So is USC. So kind of like what we talked about the women, there's some potential for upward movement if they're able to go on a little bit of a run here. I
mean, if anything else, I think they avoided the cellar with that win, Andrew. Like they avoided not making the Big Ten tournament. Like they will actually go to Indianapolis and play at least a game.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Again, things could go south still, right? Could be a flash in the pan. You know, they've had a nightmare season as far as injuries go, too.
Yeah.
People haven't talked about that. I'm not saying that's the difference between them and being a surefire NCAA tournament team, but it certainly hasn't helped. Yeah, I'm much like Hawkeye in Avengers Endgame. Don't give me hope. Because now I'm like, I was all the way out and now I'm all the way back in. It's crazy. It's so crazy. No. I'm starting to go through the hypotheticals, the what if they go into Maryland on Sunday and win? What if they put together 2 road wins and 2 quad one wins back to back? And then they're actually, so like Ken Pom kind of projects the rest of the season, they're favored in their home games against Oregon and Washington. They're favored against Northwestern as well. So they're favored in 3 of their last, 7 games?
They still have 7 games left? Holy shit.
Yeah, they have 5 games left this month and 2 in March.
Okay, so just say they go 3-4 then. I guess that's 17-14 overall. Right?
Yeah.
That is 8-10 in the Big Ten?
8 and
12. Sorry, they played 20 games?
Yeah, they played 20 conference games.
8 and 12 in the Big Ten. Okay.
So you're probably with that roughly around where they are now, maybe up a spot or 2. Depends on how things fall. So for sure, making the Big Ten tournament, you might be in one of those last 4 spots in the Big Ten tournament, though, where you don't get any bye of any kind.
Okay. Let's go down that road then, right? Let's go down that road. We have to play in the first round. We play in the first round. That means that we play then a top 5 to 8 team in the second round, right?
Yeah.
Which would likely be a ranked team.
Yeah, it'd be someone in that UCLA, Maryland, Illinois, Ohio State range.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Wisconsin or Michigan State, depends on how things fall for them.
Let's look at it as opportunities, Andrew. I mean,
yeah, that's what it is.
If you're playing in the first round, that means you have opportunities to win more games, right? So you go in 17-14, you win that first round game, you're 18-14, 9-12 in the Big Ten. You knock off Wisconsin, Illinois, whoever is in that second round. You're 10-12 in the Big Ten, 19 wins. Like, I mean, say it ain't so.
Yeah.
You knock off one of the top 4 seeds in the third round.
Well,
you're at 20 wins with 2 additional quad 1 wins and nearly 500 in the Big Ten.
I think you got to end up winning 4 of these last 7 somehow to really be talking about it. Because
I mean, everybody's so down in the dumps still about him. Like, oh, they're not even going to make the NIT. Like, I don't see that. They're still 14-10. They're still 4 games over 500. I mean,
yeah,
they have opportunities, especially in the Big Ten tournament. If you win 3 games there, like you said, they win 4 games, 4 out of 7 here. That's 7 more games. That's 21 wins with 12 wins in the Big Ten. When it's all said and done, 12-13, I believe that would end up being 12-14 because you would lose like the semifinal. But
right,
I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
they have the shooting capable of beating anybody. They just don't have the defense, man. So like, if they don't have the shot, like they get blown out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they put up a hell of an effort against Wisconsin, a hell of an effort against Purdue. I mean, played it down to the Final 4 timeout in both games, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
How much more can you ask for them after losing Owen Freeman like that? Like, there is no way that I would say that both of those games would be down to the wire at the Final 4-minute timeout. No way.
Yeah.
No chance in hell.
Yeah. That's really, they've really been busting it, man. So I think as an Iowa fan, the one thing that you have to be is like proud of this team for not quitting on the season when they have had basically every opportunity to do so, and like everything against them. Fran's post-game press conference. Did you see the video clip?
No, I
of
didn't.
him talking to Andy Katz? Did you hear about it at least?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, Fran was more emotional than I've seen in a long time. He was tearing up.
Oh.
To me, it sounded like a guy who knows that this is it. A guy who might be okay with retiring. Now, that's just me speculating. I could be totally wrong, but a lot of other people felt the same way.
All the people that are in the know that do this for a living, right?
Yeah.
Not just kind of us part-timers that like to speculate that are like, fans. Feel the same way that this kind of feels like the swan song.
Yeah.
One last one for the Gipper, man. Maybe his team knows that too. Maybe Fran has already been told. Maybe they're just trying to rally the troops for one last go, keeping it tight amongst the program because those players love him. Players have always loved Fran. If anything else, players have always loved and defended Fran McCaffery.
That's true, and he's done the same for them too.
Oh, 100% defended. Yeah, even when they didn't deserve being defended at times.
That too. Yeah, he's always on their side. So.
You might be right, and I think for the program moving forward, it's probably the right move too. I mean, I think Fran is probably probably capped out. He's made it as far as he's going to make it in this program. He is 65 years old. I mean, shit. These college basketball coaches these days are retiring earlier and earlier. Like, look at Jay Wright walking away from like a national championship contender. Like, and like he wasn't walking away from controversy or anything like that, or like a substandard's not the right word for it.
Subpar.
Expectations, below expectations.
Yeah.
Seasons. He wasn't doing that. I mean, they were still nationally relevant, top 4 seeds every year, year in, year out, won a national title within the last 5 years. And just walked away. I think he was only like 52. So I don't know. Does Fran need it? He's got all the money in the freaking world, man. You know?
No, he doesn't need the money. This year, kind of, if they go on a run here, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of Matt Gaten's final year, where they were not doing very well and they went on a run in February and March. Didn't end up making the NCAA tournament, but then made a run in the NIT.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like to play out what if this team somehow finds a way into the NCAA tournament, because if you've looked at the bubble, because I'm always kind of paying attention to the other bubble teams, it's very
soft.
Yeah, it's there. You string a couple wins together. Like if they were to win against Maryland and Oregon back to back, they would be probably right in that next 4 out, maybe even last 4 out conversation.
I mean, you double your quad 1 wins at a road win at Maryland for sure. I mean, that one's never going to be taken away from you, regardless of what happens to Rutgers when it's all said and done, because that might not end up being a quad 1 win when it's all said and done.
Probably not. Probably not. But there's a lot of bubble teams that don't have quad 1 wins. All right. So if you were to beat Maryland, there's quad 1 win, right? Oregon, it wouldn't be quad 1, but it'd be a quad 2 home win. Quad 2 home win, I believe. Washington would be a quad 3.
Yeah, but then you can go back to this, like last year, Andrew, when Indiana State lost the Missouri Valley Conference title to Drake, and they weren't selected to the big dance. They ended up making the NIT final. I think they might have even won it. I can't remember. God, what were they? Were they like 30-4 or some shit like that? And were left out for, God, I can't remember, 17-13 Virginia, I think it was, and they got bounced in the first round.
Right. Yep.
Wasn't it? Virginia was the team in question, right? I believe.
Yeah, Virginia was the team in question, and they got destroyed in the playing game.
They scored like 45 fucking points or some shit.
Yeah, they got absolutely blown out. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm afraid to go there to like be like, man, if it's between Iowa and say Drake loses the Missouri Valley title game this year, and then they're the team that's left out at 30-3 or some shit, 31-3, like that'd be some bullshit. But then again, like you said, sure. Quad 1 wins. Indiana State didn't have any last year, I don't believe, which I think came down to. And Virginia had like 2 or 3.
Right.
Just by virtue of playing in the ACC, and this whole narrative of a top 75 team on the road is a quad 1 win type deal.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up little Joe Lunardi here.
I'm sure Iowa's not listed anywhere.
No, they're not. They're not. We'd have work to do to get into that next 4 out category. But like the last 4 in, like Wake Forest is awful. Georgia's one of the last 4 in, and then like your first 4 out is Arkansas, VCU, North Carolina, SMU. I've watched all of those teams. I'm not proud to say it, but they're not good.
I don't think Arkansas is that bad.
Yeah, Arkansas has been a lot better. I would probably flip-flop them in Georgia if I'm the NCAA tournament committee, but it's not like a murderer's row here on this last four buys, last four in, first four out, next four out.
Yeah, but man,
It's
there's a
not-
lot of SEC teams in there, and you know damn well they're gonna want like 14 fucking SEC teams in that big dance.
If Arkansas can get in, that will be 14.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like you said, opportunities are there for Iowa. A few wins in a row, and you're right there. You're right on the door of making the NCAA tournament again. I'm not saying they're going to, but they need to string a few wins together in order to do it.
It's not impossible. We've seen more from less Fran teams.
Yes, it's true. It's true. They really need Thelwell back for Sunday.
I agree.
Let's talk about Maryland games specifically on Sunday. I know that Maryland is ranked number 25, I believe.
Yep.
They are way better than the number 25 team in the country in both net and KenPom. They're KenPom 19, net 18. So they're more of like a top 20 team in all the metrics eyes. This must have changed just this morning because yesterday Maryland was 20th in both offensive rating and defensive rating. Today they're 22nd in offensive rating. So some teams must have jumped them last night. But essentially they're top 20 in offense and defense. They're a top 20 team by all metrics, by all accounts, regardless of what the AP rankings say. They've looked really good at times. The one thing about them is that they're not overly deep. They have a very short rotation. They play 7, maybe 8 guys. But the starting 5 is so good. This is a game where not having Owen Freeman is going to really stink. I don't know what you know about Maryland, but Derek Queen, 7-footer, with Julian Reese, 7-footer, they play them together, and they just drill teams down low. Teams with better bigs than Iowa, they have routinely drilled those kinds of teams down low.
And Maryland has recruited as such year in and year out. I mean, in my 3-year stint out there, I've been at the games covering 2 of the 3 Iowa at Maryland games. Yeah, I mean they're huge.
Right.
If anything else, they're huge. And then the Reese sibling, staying there in Maryland. Yeah, I mean, dealing with big bodies in Iowa and this Iowa roster has just been tough as is with Owen Freeman, and then now without him. It's going to be a challenge for sure. I mean, it's probably going to be high scoring. I'm going to have to make a lot of shots to win.
Yeah, threes are going to be the big kind of equalizer for Iowa. For as tall and physical as Maryland kind of is, they're maybe not a great offensive rebounding team, but that's kind of the one thing I'm concerned about. They only average 11 offensive rebounds a game, which is like 150th.
Are they all from Reese?
They're mostly from Reese. You
like that?
Yes, I love that.
I thought it was.
I like Julian Reese. I like Julian Reese, by the way. I think he plays really well.
He's a much better player than Angel Reese.
Well, yeah, that's not hard. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
I shouldn't have said that either, but I mean,
it's okay. We're canceled. It's 2025. We'll see you all again.
I'm just saying, respectively, on their rosters, team-wise, where they stand amongst the team, I think he's more impactful.
Yeah, I watched him against Ohio State where he had 24 and 13 on the road. They lost that game against Ohio State because Bruce Thornton went absolutely bonkers on them. especially late. But yeah, that was an impressive performance. And then they beat Wisconsin at home. It's just a house of horrors playing at Maryland. They really have defended their home court really well.
It is a really cool arena, by the way, too. I mean, I've seen a lot of games there, men and women, and they pack that place, man. I mean, they're pretty proud of the University of Maryland. I'll tell you that. Yep, for sure.
Yep, going all the way back to the Juan Dixon days. Steve Francis and Juan Dixon and Lonnie Baxter.
Those were great teams. Gary Williams.
Yeah, Gary Williams. Gary Williams court.
That's right.
So, and Kevin Willard is a great coach, by the way. So this is a very scary matchup. Gillespie, too. He's really good, like an excellent point guard. I think he's what Iowa fans would want in a point guard, essentially. Rodney Rice has played really well, and Selton Miguel. So there's like their top five that they roll with for most of the game. And they bring in Tafara Gapere and Deshaun Harris-Smith a little bit, and then Jalen Young or Jordan Geronimo if they need to. But they really play Queen and Reese and Gillespie essentially the whole game. I've watched a lot of their games. It's their starting five out there for 35-plus minutes per game at least.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So maybe that's the key for Iowa is to attack the rim, somehow get those posts in foul trouble, and maybe that's how you can sneak one out. But Josh Dix and Peyton Sanford are going to have to play. They're going to have to do what they did where they combined for 46 points against Rutgers. They're going to have to do that against a better Maryland team.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do that. And then we got like 11 points and 8 assists out of Brock Harding against Rutgers. We're going to need something like that again.
There just isn't consistency night in and night out with any particular person on the roster. You know what I mean? Like, they've been flashes here and there. Like, they're not – I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, we don't see consistency performances individually from really anybody. I mean, the best player in the last 2 games is Price Sanford, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and that's a big part of things too, especially in the game against Rutgers. I thought Price played really well, especially kind of playing a little bit of backup point guard, which to me, when I heard that he was going to do that, was scary.
Yeah,
to me, but he ended up being like really good at it. And also, we got some good Ladji Dembele moments down the stretch of an Iowa basketball game, and I was like, what's going on? Like, we're getting like intense, good Ladji Dembele. I don't know.
It's like I don't know. You remember Osemele?
Who
was his first name? Was it Khalid?
Kalichi Osemele is an Iowa State offensive lineman.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Gabe
I'm thinking
Olaseni.
Yep, that's it. Yep, that kind of guy. Like,
yeah,
he goes hard for 2.5 minutes, and he's like 5 points, 4 boards, and he's gassed.
Yeah, Gabe Olaseni had some good games though. That's one of the more underrated Fran players. Like, he was also good at blocking shots.
I always wanted to see more minutes from him when he was in Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah, he would come in and throw in some games, throw in like 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 or 4 blocks.
I can't believe I just came up with Khalid Osemele as an Iowa State fucking. I can't believe I just did that, and he's probably nearly a Hall of Fame player at that too for Iowa State.
All right.
I can't believe I did that. It's time to wrap this shit up, Andrew.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. It's time to wrap it up for the night. We're losing it. Let's just make some quick predictions for the big games for the men and the women before we come back next week.
Okay.
Iowa, Maryland men's game. I'm going to go 79-67 Maryland, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking Maryland as well. I'll probably go a little bit closer though. I'm gonna go like 82-76.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Hopefully it's a competitive basketball game. We get to be there at the last 4 minutes like we have been in the past 3 games. Iowa, Ohio State women's game on the road, 11 a.m. Monday. Fortunately, I'm going to take Ohio State here. But I'll take a close game. I'll say 85-80.
That's a lot of scoring.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a little bit higher scoring than people realize.
I actually think that I was going to get another top 10 win.
Oh, okay.
This women's team. I mean, they're on fire, like you said. Winners of 5 in a row. The Iowa women are hot. This is the title of the frickin' episode, Andrew.
All right,
I'm going with it. Let's go 80. Let's go 82. Let's go 82-80.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a barn burner. It's gonna be a really exciting game.
Hang on to your seats, and yes, that would be extremely hot because that would mean 7 wins in a row going into a game against the number 1 team, which I hope we can talk about next week when we come back. Any last thoughts before we call it a night?
Yes, I do. 1 second. Iowa wrestling team is back on track. They did get another top 10 win against Nebraska last Friday night. 19-16 overall dual win. They got another top 10 matchup tomorrow night against Minnesota, number 6 Minnesota and number 3 Iowa. Person of note, Gable Steveson is back at Minnesota at heavyweight. That piece of shit that tried to dangle in front of us like he was going to come to Iowa City. Ended up going back to Maryland because nobody liked him in WWE. So
how does he?
So fuck that guy.
Explain to me how he has eligibility still. Isn't he like 30?
I don't think that matters anymore. I think someone got in his ear, said he still had a COVID season left, like everybody else did.
Gable Steveson had a midlife crisis and came back to wrestle for Minnesota at the ripe age of 40.
Also, Iowa baseball starts tomorrow night down in Tampa.
Ooh.
3-game series against South Florida. I don't get to take a Florida trip this year, unfortunately, for Iowa baseball. I would have loved to. It just wasn't in the cards this time around. They play in Tampa this weekend. They play down at the Stetson tournament next weekend. Could be playing Notre Dame of note in baseball. Stetson as well. I can't remember who the other game is, but it's one of those round robin tournaments like the Jacksonville one was.
Okay.
Last year. So, yeah, I mean, they're playing Notre Dame next weekend in that tournament, and then this 3-game series against South Florida. So, Cade Obermueller is the Friday night starter, which, as you know, Andrew, is the sign of the ace, right? So your ace pitcher always goes Friday night series. So he's a returner from our starters of last season. We lost a lot of position players this last go around, but when we get into actual baseball season, we'll probably go more into. We'll get into the dog days of summer. We'll have to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Post basketball tournament, post March Madness, we'll be talking Big Ten tournament baseball. Hopefully, NCAA berth this year after kind of the disappointment of last season. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I could name you any Iowa baseball players. Are they doing the thing where they come to Des Moines again?
They are playing. They are playing a series, I believe, against Oklahoma State. Nationally ranked Oklahoma State, I believe, is coming to Principal Park for a 3-game series. Yep, they are.
Well,
they are playing that.
Looks like something I'll have to look into and possibly buy. I see you're getting Kansas City Royals tickets this year.
I already got them, man. I got a 4-game mini plan. Yes, opening day. So we got opening day. We got tickets to my Orioles. We got tickets to Jenny's Cardinals, and then I think a Friday or Saturday night game versus the Mets. Juan Soto and the Mets, just because.
Nice.
So we kind of spread it out between April, May, June, and July. So we got a little baseball each month, and see how that goes. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Kauffman Stadium. Only seen it really from either the parking lot of Arrowhead or the I-70 interchange, just off the interstate. Obviously, you can see it right there, the whole complex, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, if I'm being honest. But it's a pretty cool place. I look forward to actually seeing the baseball stadium itself.
Man, I don't know if we're going to be able to end the podcast after I say this. I've never been to Kansas City.
Let's go, man, dude. We're gonna have a whole spare room. I'm building my man cave this weekend, actually. So getting that going, getting a new TV and some furniture and start putting up some stuff. But yeah, you're welcome to come down anytime, man. We can do that.
We would love to. Been meaning to go to a baseball game down there for a long time.
Wow. The price is right too, man. It's pretty cheap to get into Kaufman, if we're being honest.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but didn't they play well? Didn't they make the playoffs last year?
Yeah, and they beat my Orioles in the wild card series.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
You already knew that, you son of a bitch.
I did not remember that. No, because I was going for the Orioles because I really liked that Orioles team last year. I thought they were gonna go deep.
I did too, my friend. I did too.
But Bobby Witt Jr., right?
Witt Jr. No.
Bobby Witt Jr. is still around. Is Salvador Perez still around?
Oh yeah, he's 34. He's still kicking it at catcher. He's still one of the best catchers in the league. So yeah, I look forward to seeing the Royals this year.
Who else do the Royals have? It's really good.
Oh my God, I'd have to go up and down the roster. I mean, they got Brady Singer, I think, is their
That's it. The Singer, yeah. I'll have to plan out a night that Singer is going to start. Love to see a Singer start.
That's too easy. We can make that happen. Yeah,
that'd be great. Anyways, this has turned into a little bit more than the Hawks Eye View here tonight, but we'll be back. Next Thursday, hopefully coming off big wins on all fronts for
that'd be great.
Both basketball teams and wrestling and baseball. So, have a great night, everybody. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.